For basically all of human history, people have prayed. It's this universal instinct to reach for something more. But what if prayer is, well, bigger than we often make it out to be? Today, we're going to dive into prayer not just as a one-off action, but as this amazing, multidimensional practice that can actually transform us.
I love this metaphor because it just gets it right. Think about it. A heartbeat isn't something you do once in a while. It's the constant, vital rhythm that means you're alive. And that's exactly the kind of perspective on prayer we're starting with today.
So this isn't about just tossing words out into the universe. The way we're looking at it, prayer is a lifeline. It's a real, powerful connection. And to really get our heads around it, we're going to explore a framework of 4 key dimensions that kind of build on each other: thanksgiving, confession, intercession, and worship. First up, let's talk about Dimension 1, Thanksgiving. This is foundational. It's all about shifting our focus from what we don't have to what we do have. And what's so wild is how this ancient spiritual practice has these incredible, scientifically proven effects on our brains and our bodies. This ancient wisdom basically gives us a formula, an antidote for anxiety. And notice the order here, it's so important. Thanksgiving comes before you even start listing your requests. The whole idea is that starting with gratitude totally reframes the conversation. It calms your spirit and sets a whole new tone. And okay, this is where it gets really, really cool. That idea that being thankful can actually calm you down, it's not just a nice spiritual thought. It's biology. It literally changes the chemistry inside your brain. Let's take a look. Look at this parallel. It's amazing. For thousands of years, Scripture has been telling us that thankfulness pushes out anxiety. And now, modern science from places like Harvard and UCLA shows us why. When you practice gratitude, your brain releases dopamine and serotonin. Those are your natural feel-good chemicals. At the same time, it lowers cortisol, which is your main stress hormone. It physically pulls you out of that fight-or-flight state. It's ancient wisdom, 100% backed by neuroscience.
So let's just make this personal for a second. Think back to a really tough time in your life. Can you remember a moment where just finding one tiny thing to be thankful for, a simple thank you, somehow shifted your entire perspective, even if just for a minute? That's it. That's the power of this first dimension, right there. All right, let's move into our second dimension, confession. Now, I know that word can feel kind of heavy. It often gets tied up with feelings of guilt or shame. But in this framework, we're going to flip that. We're going to look at confession as an act of liberating, freeing honesty.
The promise in this verse is just so powerful. It sets up a clear exchange. If we're honest about where we've messed up, the response isn't condemnation. It's forgiveness. It's purification. It's an invitation to be free, not a demand to feel ashamed.
And this is the absolute key. Confession isn't meant to pile on the shame. It's designed to deliver mercy. You know, it's kind of like the spiritual version of catharsis, that incredible feeling of relief when you finally let go of some huge emotional burden. It's that moment you finally exhale, the weight is gone, and you can get realigned and feel renewed.
Okay, so we've looked inward with thanksgiving and confession. Now our third dimension turns our focus completely outward. This is intercession, which is really just a word for praying for other people. Or, put more simply, it's love in action. The instruction here is huge, right? It's not just pray for your family or pray for your friends, it's for all people. This shows us that prayer was never meant to be just a private, solo practice. It's deeply communal. It's about getting involved in the well-being of the world around us. This metaphor of standing in the gap is just so vivid. It's this idea that you're bridging the space between someone's need and their answer. And get this, focusing outward like that is actually transformative for us, too. Studies on compassion show that when we focus on others, we activate the empathy centers in our brain, and it can actually lower our own anxiety. So when we intercede, we're not just helping them, we're literally rewiring ourselves for more connection and peace. How cool is that?
And this brings us to the fourth, and you could say the highest dimension of prayer, worship. This is where prayer moves beyond our needs, beyond our mistakes, even beyond our prayers for other people, and it becomes a direct encounter with awe. You know, psychologists define awe as that feeling you get when you're in the presence of something so vast it just blows your mind. Well, that's exactly what worship is. See the language here? It's all about posture. Bowing down, kneeling. It's a physical posture that reflects a posture of the heart. It's about humility. It's about adoration. It's not about asking for anything. It's about recognizing the greatness of who you're praying to. And this distinction is so important. Thanksgiving is thanking God for what He's done. Intercession is asking Him to do something. Worship is different. It's adoring God simply for who He is, period. It's moving from a list of requests to pure adoration.
Just let that sink in for a minute. What actually changes inside of us when prayer stops being our to-do list for God? What happens to our worries, our anxieties, our whole perspective on life when we just spend time being in awe of something bigger than ourselves? So, we've walked through thanksgiving, confession, intercession, and worship. We've seen them as these 4 separate ideas. Now let's put all the pieces together and see how they create one single, powerful, life-giving practice. Think of them like 4 pillars holding up your prayer life. Pillar 1, you start with gratitude to get your heart in the right place. Pillar 2, you find freedom by being honest. Pillar 3, you expand your world by praying for others. And Pillar 4, you find this deep peace and pure adoration. It's not one or the other. Together, they create this incredibly balanced and transformational experience.
And this really brings us full circle. When we see it this way, prayer stops being another thing on our to-do list. Through these 4 dimensions, it becomes something as natural and as necessary as breathing. It becomes the very breath of our faith.
Which leaves us with this one last huge idea: pray without ceasing. Maybe that doesn't mean you have to be talking 24/7. Maybe it means living in this constant rhythm of thankfulness, honesty, love for others, and awe. What if that's the lifeline we were designed to have all along?